Hi everyone, it's Wendy. Second tutorial in 2 days. I've seen a lot of people do recipe albums in that, and I like them. And I think they look great. My only problem is you make it very limiting as far as how much the person who receives it can put in there. So I do my albums differently. Um, they're a recipe album, but they use I have one here. They use these binder rings, and these are, I think they're 2.5 or 2 inch, and depending upon the size of the album, I put anywhere from 2 to 4. So I'm going to show you how I make my recipe albums. I was working on a project earlier. I got little bits all over, and how I get it to so that my pages and my covers match up. Okay, so I usually select the paper first because that's going to help me decide on how big of an album I'm doing, uh, what kind of theme I want on it. And the thing is, I kind of keep my recipe albums simple. I don't add a lot of flips and flaps to them, simply because to me the big part of them is displaying the recipes. And when people see them, they go, I often tell them a good idea for these is when you have a wedding shower or even a housewarming party, ask everyone to be ready to write down their favorite recipe on a recipe card, because I make them so that they hold anywhere from 40 to 60 recipes. And that way, whoever receives it can have it filled with all kinds of recipes from everyone else. I don't make dividers in them. I usually do 6 pages. I have done 8, and that's a good fit. The big part comes when you are doing the covers and putting the grommets in them. I use grommets in my covers, and I use Tyvek on my pages. So let's get started. The paper I'm using is by Recollections. It's Country Farmhouse. It seems around here this kind of paper line, people like it, but it's very country chic, and it's got, and I make a big use of these, of the cutouts. They're my page decorations. I found one page I thought I'd use for the cover, which is this one. And even though this is thick paper, I'm not going to use it to wrap. I'm going to use Craft by Recollection. So I'm going to use this on my cover, which is the farmhouse on the outside. Then on the inside, I think I'll use the quilt. No, or maybe I'll use this. I'll deal with it when I get to it. It's the way I look at it. I have some black chipboard. I would use my gray, but I don't feel like digging it out. So I'm going to use black. One thing I found is the black is a little bit lighter, so your covers are a little more bendable. If you want to take in, thicken them up, you can always double them. And I have my Recollections craft cardstock. So we're going to deal with the covers first. At least get them cut. And I like to make them, I guess you could call them square, but make them 6 by 6, you know, or 7 by 7. I'm thinking I'm going to do a 7 by 7. It's kind of an odd size, but I have a couple 8 by 8s and a couple 6 by 6s already done. So I'll make a 7 by 7. I'm just going to cut 2 pieces of chipboard the size I want. I could have made it 7 by 9. Need to make a few of these so I have them on hand. I started back doing paper crafts and making things to sell. The recipe albums were the first thing I made. Okay, now we're going to take our craft cardstock. I probably have about 6 open packages of craft cardstock around here. You think I can find it when I need it? No. So, anyways. Hold on. All right. So, these are 7 by 7. This is 8.5. I'm just going to cut it to 8.5 square, so I have a 3/4 inch. Oops, I only need 2 of these cut to 8.5 square. And I do these just like I do my regular album covers. My husband's at work tonight, so he won't be interrupting. Now the cat may, though she's already been in here for treats. But considering she's a cat, that means she'll decide I need more. So she may be in for another visit. And I like to get these at least covered before I do anything else. I'm going to do 3/4 of an inch in and up. Oops. Come on now. There we go. I know it's not a matter of life or death if I get it off a little bit, but I kind of do like to get it centered. Makes it, when you do your corners, it makes it easier. Oh, and speak of the devil. She just came and meowed at the door. I think she wants Poppy to play with her. Poppy, Mittens wants you to play. Poppy's sitting in front of the door guarding it. Actually, they're playing a game of keep out. Nice thing about those two is 95% of the time they like each other. Then they get into their moods where they act like they're sisters. And they don't like each other. Now this is a thinner chipboard. But I'm still going to use my 0.25, but I'm not going to bring it up a little. I'm just going to leave it where it's at because it will be more than enough. Meow. Poppy, let Mittens in. And these I don't even need my hook for. I've done so many of them. Though I do have patterns written down for a couple of them because I've done a few other things. One thing I did on one of them turned out really nice was I took those their Project Life pages or Snap pages, whatever, those plastic inserts that you can get to put photos of that in. I put them in one of my recipe books. It turned out really nice. Okay. Since we got 3/4 of an inch, now if you notice I cut my corners before I taped, and that's okay. I'm working with the square. Poppy, what are you into? Since I use 5/8 inch tape, I'm not going to worry about adding more tape around the edge of the chip. I'm sorry. Mittens just got Poppy. They're busy playing. So if you hear a meow and a bark, that's what's happening. They are playing. Oh. I cut a little short there. Just got it. Okay. I probably should use the wider one. This. There we go. So I got that one done. And I mean, I could take and do these and not wrap them, and they'd be fine. But I find, especially when I'm using the black chipboard, wrapping it makes it a little sturdier and gives it a little more strength. I have one cookbook that I didn't wrap. It still turned out nice, but I think I should have wrapped that one, but everybody likes it, so. There we go. Okay. Get rid of my trash here. Now we can cut inside. Now I know these are 7 by 7, so they're going to be 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. I could do 6 7/8. I might do that. I usually buy my, oops, I just dropped all my exit chipboard. I usually buy my craft cardstock white and cream from Hobby Lobby. I like that. In a pinch, I'll use Michael's. And this is Recollection, so it is Michael's. Okay. But I don't know, it just seems to be heavier. Well, the Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby seems a little, just a hair heavier, even though it says it's the same weight. Just laying this up. Line it up. Lay it down. Make sure it's straight. There they go. Okay, there's my front and back covers. Now, I cover them now because I'm going to use that for the front, or the inside. And that for the outside. So again, we're dealing with 7 by 7. And again, I'm going to take my papers and put them right sides, or left side, back sides together, because that way I get two different scenes, and it seems to work very well. Now I want at least a 1/4 inch, so I'm going to take it to the edge of my cutter, which in general is 7 3/4 or 6 3/4. Cut it that way. Put this to the side because I can use it. And cut again. So there's my outside. And I'm going to do the same with this. There we go. Now we can attach these. And the reason why I attach these before I add my grommets is so that I can center it and not worry about the grommets being in the way. So again, I just use ATG. This is kind of a heavy or nice weight paper. You can use glue if you like. I use the Art Glitter glue now. I do have a backup glue, Scotch Quick Dry. So no, it's not called Quick Dry. Take this and set it down. Oh, I didn't do that right, did I? Okay. All right, you two. You can play out in the hallway, not in here. Okay, I'm going to do it this way to make sure. Okay, that's better. I have to change my ATG here. So. Okay, make sure this is going the right way. Okay. Okay, that one's done. We'll do this one. And because I put these papers wrong sides together, it looks like a continuation of the design. It's one way of doing it. Now, if you're doing a small enough album that you can get all 3 pieces out of one sheet, you can cut it so it looks like it's just wrapped around. You could even wrap it around if you wanted to. Okay. But in some ways, it's kind of pleasing to see the design go from the front to the back. So there's nothing wrong with using different papers for the front and different papers for the back. There, see, told you I had to change that. Okay. I can get off my fingers. Alright. Oh. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the HEG packaging has changed. They now make it so that it hangs up on a pegboard. I really love to find some use for all this. I guess you can make confetti out of it, or streamers. Okay. Down. When I first got I had the hardest time threading it. Now it's like second nature. I do have other of these type of guns. But they're put away mainly because the cartridges for them are so expensive. Even using a coupon. I have the Xyron one. A couple other ones. Alright, so there's our covers. Now, the thing to decide now is where you want your holes punched. Lost my ruler. I know it's here because I just had it. It is the funniest thing. Okay. There it is. I'll set it up with craft cardstock. Now I know this is 7 inches. I'll start with the cover one. I know this is 7 inches. So half of this is 3 3/4. Now, when I do my rings, I do them in approximately 1/2 inch in. And this is 3 3/4. So if I do it at 1 5/8, 1 3/8, 1 3/8. That's a little close. So I'm going to do it 2 inches from the center. Now I have Bind It All, and I have the other one. I can't think of the name of it. And I've used those when I've been making these type of albums too. But I found that using, this is a We Are Memory Keepers extra strong punch. So all I'm doing is I'm centering that dot I made there and punching through. Okay. Again, centering the dot and punching through. And then I can take my back cover, there they go again, just put it behind there, make a circle. I kind of color it in so I can make sure I see it. And oops, gotta take out that stuff. And again, center it and punch. Okay. I need to find my grommets. So if you'll excuse me for a moment, I will find my grommets and then I'll show you how I get them in.